Hey everyone, welcome back to KC3D Sparks. Today we're going to be creating another light source. So I thought it'd be good if we did something a little bit different than the braziers. If we did a standing candelabra, so that way if you want to mix it up a little bit and have a little bit more decorative, I guess you could say, or just, variations in light. But anyway, let's go ahead and hop to a clean layer. I'm going to do Shift A and I'm going to start with a circle. And I usually prefer to start with 12, so that way it gives us the least amount of geometry, but still is nice and round and has a vertice on each of these points for us. And I do have the units that I'll be working with will be set to inches, and I changed the scale of my grid floor to 1/4 of an inch. So the circle that we added is 6 inches large, which is way too big for the base of our candelabra. So I'm gonna go ahead and just hit S and scale that down. I'm gonna focus in on it so I can see it a little better. And right now I have it about a little less than 1/2 inch, so it fits right in these 4 squares. Of course, if you want it to be exactly 1/2 inch, you can of course type that in here, but for now, I think I'm happy with just the approximate size. I'm just gonna leave it there for now. I'm just gonna go ahead and tab into edit mode, and I'm gonna rename this to candelabra. And first thing we want to do is hit E to extrude, and I'm just going to hit escape, grab the blue Z axis arrow, and you'll notice it's darker this way, so we'll want to make sure the normals are facing correctly, so we'll push it down. And for our base, I'll probably make it about this thick for now. Do E to extrude, just right click to have it stay the same. Do Alt M at center, so that closes that off nice and pretty for us. Then I'll go ahead and Alt right click this top loop here. I'm just going to do E to extrude and size that in to about there will probably work. And then I'm going to zoom out, and we're going to probably just start with the height before we add in some more decoration to the actual stand for our candelabra. So for our height, we can compare it to, if we tab back out of edit mode and look at our braziers, they are about 1 1/4 inch tall. So that's what we can shoot for our candelabras as well. Of course, you can have them a little bit taller or shorter, but I'm probably going to aim for about this height since I've already printed these and I really like the way they came out. So I know it's a good height. So I'm probably going to be shooting for about this size again. So I'm just going to hop back into our layer now that we know our size. Go ahead and right click, hit period to go ahead and focus in on that again. Tab back into edit mode, and our selection is still there. So what we'll do is, we haven't extruded it yet, so we'll just hit E to extrude and pull that up along the Z axis. So this is about 1 inch. I want it to be a little bit lower though, because this is just the stand part. From here we'll extrude and we'll have the candles kind of up here. So I might bring this down just a little bit further. And obviously for this, we're going to have this a little bit exaggerated like normal. So this is going to be much thicker than most candelabras probably would in real life. But in order to have a good thickness to be able to print, we need it to be exaggerated, just like everything else. So I'm gonna do Control R. And just put one right in the center here, and I'm gonna size that in. Control R. I'm gonna pull that up. Control R. I'm gonna push that down, size that in. I'm gonna go ahead so I can kind of get a visual. Do a subdivision surface modifier, and I usually like to crank that up to 3. I'm gonna Shift E so I can crease that. I'm going to do that to the bottom as well. Right there. Do Control R. Okay, size that out. Shift E. Size that in. Maybe even push this up to give that a little bit of a curvature. So this part right now, you can just have fun with it. Start making your own design for how you would want the stand to look. So I might start there and then do Control R, add 3 loops here. Grab this one, size this out, maybe pull it up a little bit. And then sharpen those to give it a little bit more detail. Maybe even grab these, pull it up a little bit more. Push this down. I tend to do things in threes. I don't know why. It just kind of ends up happening that way. So of course, once you find your rhythm, you'll be able to figure out what you like to do most. Just like that. Right now it kind of looks like a wine goblet since it's open at the top, but it will change. And I guess that's okay for now. I'm not the happiest with it. I kind of don't like this part here. I'm going to undo that. I'm going to do Control R, drop this down. I'm going to size this up. To be a little bit more of a mirror to that. Maybe something more like that. But like I said, just go ahead, whoops, play around with different shapes that you like. And you can always go back very easily and change up what you don't like and just have some fun with it. The main part is the candles. So for that, I'm gonna alt right click this top piece again, do E to extrude. I'm gonna pull that up, right up, maybe a little bit past this line here, but I do wanna do Shift E to get this nice and creased. I'm going to go into top view, deselect everything with A, Z for wireframe view, B for border select, and I'm going to grab all of this left side, and I'm also going to grab the back side, do X, and we're going to delete those vertices. Now usually I would go ahead and say let's add our mirror modifier. However, if we were to extrude out our faces right here for where the candle would be held, we would have to do everything at an angle, and it's just going to be a lot easier if we do it along the x-axis. So what I'm going to do is select everything, hit R, and then type in 45 degrees, but hit the negative sign and hit enter. Now all we have to do is extrude everything out along the x-axis, and then once we're done getting the arm and the candle, we just rotate it back and apply our mirror modifier and we'll be set. It'll be much, much easier this way. You don't have to, but this is the way I prefer. It's just a little bit easier. Now all I have to do is grab these 3 faces on top because I want this bottom to stay the same. I'm going to go into front view, hit E to extrude. I'm just going to pull that out along the x-axis, probably a little bit further than this grid line. And then I'm going to do SX0 to completely flatten that out. We also notice that this sharp line extruded out, so we don't need it, we just need it from back here. So I'm just going to hit Shift E and unsharpen that edge. Okay, so now I'm going to do E to extrude. I'm going to pull it out some more, but I'm going to rotate it and pull it up. E to extrude. I'm going to rotate it so it becomes flat along the Z axis, just like that. I'm going to pull it up so we can start getting our nice curve for our candelabra. Okay, so now we can go ahead and do any adjustments that we need. So I might want to do Control R, drag this down, maybe even rotate this and pull that down some more. Rotate this, give it a little bit more thickness so we get a nice arch. I do want, let's go ahead, oh, we already have edge select, so I want to grab this, do Shift E, so our sides are flat and we just have that one curve, just like that. And actually, we'll want to do these 3 edges as well. And these will be sharpened, but first let's go ahead and worry about our extrusion. So reselect these 3 faces, and I'm going to go back into front view real quick, do E to extrude, just hit escape, and then I'm going to size that out. Maybe go ahead and pull it up just slightly. E to extrude again, pull that up. E to extrude, size that in. And I'm going to go ahead and actually we want to make this a little bit more round. So I'm going to go into top view, do vertex select. Go ahead, grab our corners here, do S, Shift, Z, so that way it doesn't size along the Z axis. And we'll also want to grab these guys, go ahead and size them in to start making a little bit more round. Then E to extrude and pull this up for our candle, and I'm going to probably put it right at this grid line. I do need this sharpened, and actually we want this sharpened as well. Perfect. So now I think I'm going to go ahead, do Control R, add a loop here so I can size this in a little bit and even push this down. So that way it has like a nice dip there. And we might even want to make that larger actually. So I might grab these 3 loops, do S, Shift Z, and extrude that out. Maybe even make this taller to make it more of a cup or a dish. And we could even do one like that. No, we don't need that one. For the candle part, for the actual flame, usually you would have a wick and you would light that on fire. But for 3D printing, the wick itself is going to be way too small. So we're just going to skip that and go to a flame. So to do a flame, what we'll do is E to extrude, just like we did before. We're going to size that in to whatever size we need it. I'm going to go ahead and just undo this sharpen, go into front view, and we're going to hit E to extrude again and just pull that up. I'm going to do Control R and push that down. Size this out. We'll go ahead and sharpen that piece. And now you can go ahead and start playing with these top vertices. I'm going to go ahead and actually push all these down. On a front view, grab these, make it a little bit pointier. Maybe even grab and push this in. Pull this one out. And start just having a little bit of fun with the shape. Just to make it a little bit more organic. Some of the more minuscule details might not show up, but it's worth a shot. So once you're happy with your flame shape, we'll go ahead and move forward. So now is a good time to check and make sure that everything looks good. It might look way too large right now, but let's go ahead and see how it looks with our mirror modifier added. So go ahead, select everything. We're going to rotate it back that 45 degrees, and you'll notice that it changed location a little bit. So we'll have to just go ahead and move that back against our axes, just like that. Add modifier, mirror, and that's going to pop below our subdivision surface. So we're going to move that up with these arrows so that way it works properly. And we're going to go ahead, aside from the X, we're also going to check Y. And we also need to check clipping and move these in so they snap together perfectly. So that way if you grab these, you'll notice that they stick and you don't have to worry about any of that. But this right here, we'll go ahead and sharpen those just like that. We don't want a webbing there. Perfect. Now I also would like to do a center candle as well. So we have 5. And I'm noticing that our candle stand is pretty short unless we were putting this on a table or something. So we might have to adjust some of the sizes after the fact. But for right now, let's focus on getting our center candle up and go from there. So if we grab these guys right here, do E to extrude. I'm just going to hit the front. Just go ahead and pull that up. I'm going to pull that up to maybe where the center of our candle is, maybe a little bit lower, right about there. Do E to extrude. I'm going to go into top view. I'm just going to hit S. But if we size that out, you'll notice that it's not going in a perfect circle. So what I'll do instead is just grab that and move it perfectly, and we can use these lines as our guide. So pull it just like that, trying to make it match a little bit of how big these are. So I might pull it a little bit further. Go in a front view, hit E to extrude, pull that up, E to extrude, size that in. But again, it sizes it weird. So instead of hitting S, we're gonna pull that back in like this. Front view, E to extrude, pull that up, E to extrude, size that in. So I'm gonna hit 7, E to extrude, and then I'll go ahead, do E to extrude, Alt M at center, and push that so it meets right here and seals off essentially. And then we can just do the same thing, maybe add another loop, size that out, and start playing with it so that way we get a different shape for our flame. But this part might be a little bit easier once our mirror modifier is applied. So right now, I'm probably just going to leave it more of a circle, just like that, and assess the sizing. So to double check the whole size, what I want to do real quick is just pop it onto the first layer and see how it looks. So if we just push this against our brazier, we can see that our candles are absolutely ginormous. So I want to shrink these down quite a bit, and that way it'll make our stand not look so dinky. So I'm gonna go ahead and move that back to this layer. All right, so resizing this, I'm gonna go ahead and tab into edit mode, and I'm realizing now that I forgot to reshape our little cup here, and this part is a lot thicker than I'd really like it to be. So what I'm gonna do is grab these faces and just go ahead and push those in to be more like that. So it's a lot thinner. And then we'll do Control R, size that out. And we also don't want these guys sharpened. So that's another issue. And then Control R and push that down. More like that. It's a little bit larger since it's the center one. Okay, so now our main issue is the thickness of these arms and the height. So I'm thinking what I want to do is go into wireframe view. I'm going to turn to the side a little bit, go back to vertex select mode, and I want to bring these guys up to be more like that. So that way they're a lot shorter. And then I wouldn't mind just bringing this up as well, making that a little bit less thick. I think that'll look much better. And then we can add in more details here as well. So we could do Control R, push this right here, push this down, Shift E, but it didn't remain circular, so I might go ahead, tab out of edit mode, do Shift D, duplicate that, hide the first one, apply our mirror modifier, tab back into edit mode, and now we can size this out properly, push this down, Shift E to fix that. So we can add another little detail right there, and you guys can keep doing that as long as you would like. Right now, I'm gonna go ahead, push these in so we can kind of get our fire or our little flame started. Just like that. Tap back out, move it over again, make sure we still like the size, which it looks much better now, but I do need to bring it above the floor so we can actually see the base. I still think some of these parts a little bit too thick, but I think what I'm gonna do is test print it first, make sure everything goes right. I might go ahead and just size it down in general, or what I can do, let's move this back. This top part's a little bit too large for me still because it's about 2 inches tall now. So what I'll do is tab into edit mode, Z for wireframe, B for border select, grab all of this top stuff, size that down, and push that down like that. And maybe even that's looking much better. There. Now it's a much more appropriate size. Okay, so now that we have our good shape, I'll probably test print it out. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions, feel free to post them below. And of course, like always, I'll post the result of the print out on Instagram. If you're curious of what it looks like, go ahead and go check out the Instagram. I'll have that link below and you can see how it prints, and if there's any issues and things like that, you'll know how to fix them. Other than that, thank you so much again. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave any recommendations of what you guys would like to see next time and things like that. So yeah, thank you again, and I'll see you next week.